Until recently, near-death experiences have perplexed the public and scientists alike. They are often associated with supernatural significance and often used to assert the existence of an afterlife or some kind of mind-body dualism. In the last decade, neuroscience has been used to develop a more robust understanding of the mechanisms behind such experiences, allowing us to better interpret them. Hi, I'm R.
And I'm Jay.
And in this video, we're going to discuss the science behind near-death and out-of-body experiences. Let's get to it. An out-of-body experience is an experience that involves a feeling of floating outside of one's body, and in some cases, the feeling as though floating above and looking down at one's own body. A near-death experience, on the other hand, is an out-of-body experience induced by a severe illness or injury, or being perceived to be dead, but then subsequently reviving or being resuscitated. These experiences are commonly used to assert that the mind and the body exist independently from one another, also referred to as mind-body dualism, which is then often used to assert the existence of a soul or an afterlife. Until recently, the scientific evidence to properly describe these experiences has been lacking, but recent advances have now given us enough evidence to make a strong case that these experiences are a result of the physical structures of the brain and not contingent on the existence of a soul.
Out-of-body experiences are not exclusive to near-death experiences. They have been observed to occur under episodes of fainting or extreme physical exertion, such as exercise at high altitude. Meditation with hypoventilation can also be used to induce such out-of-body experiences. The common denominator in these situations is the lack of oxygen to the brain. This lack of oxygen has been observed to reduce function in areas of the brain to preserve energy. Indeed, when oxygen supply is reduced to the temporal parietal junction, the brain's ability to understand its location in the space around it is hindered, and an out-of-body experience is triggered as a result. These experiences can be replicated under controlled conditions using trans-cranial magnetic stimulation, or drugs such as ketamine. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS for short, uses magnetic impulses to stimulate small portions of the brain. In this situation, direct stimulation of the temporal parietal junction inhibits visual spatial awareness. Similarly, electrical stimulation of the temporal parietal junction has been observed to induce entire out-of-body experiences, including perception of viewing the self from an outside perspective.
As previously mentioned, near-death experiences have been replicated under controlled conditions using ketamine. This is applicable to near-death experiences because during catastrophic events, the brain releases endocytosins and magnesium and zinc ions to protect brain structures. These things act similarly to ketamine in binding to NMDA receptors. This in turn induces hallucinogenic effects due to an NMDA receptor blockade. In addition to this, a reduction of oxygen supply to the frontal cortex, hippocampus, and amygdala will significantly influence the storage and recollection of memories. Numerous studies have shown this can lead to a confabulation of memories. Confabulation is a memory disturbance in which a person confuses imagined scenarios with actual memories with no intent to deceive. This can be compounded over time as the brain tries to consolidate perceived information recorded during the event with external sources such as conversations with doctors and family members. So information is still being perceived during events such as cardiac arrest, but these perceptions are very unlikely to be accurate and hence admissible as valid evidence due to the hindered brain function being compounded with the inability for the brain to accurately form memories. It is similar to asking someone who is extremely drunk to look through a broken telescope at something very far away. Not only is the tool they are using to see broken, but they are also in a state that makes their perception much less reliable. The primary difference being that due to confabulation, the person during the near-death experience will be extremely convinced of their perceptions despite contradicting evidence, whereas the drunk person is likely to understand once they have sobered up that they were drunk and using faulty equipment, making anything they reported unlikely to be true. Given these insights into the neurophysiological mechanisms of near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, there is clearly a natural explanation for these events. While this doesn't make a supernatural explanation impossible, it does make the supernatural explanation unreasonable in light of natural evidence, especially given any existence of the supernatural has not been proven.
It is also essential to understand the limitations of using the term near death. Defining death is a difficult task. For example, the stopping of one's heart does not indicate the complete cessation of neural activity. It is important to stress that near-death experiences occur in near death, that is, the patient being in transitory and reversible cardiac arrest. Under the US Uniform Determination of Death Act, a person is medically dead when physicians determine by applying prevailing clinical criteria that cardiac, respiratory, or brain functions are absent and cannot be retrieved. However, in a case where someone goes into cardiac arrest and is then revived, physicians are unlikely to have access to an fMRI to determine brain function actually ceased, but rather declare someone dead by determining the cessation of cardiovascular activity. How long neural activity remains following a declaration of death is still not completely understood, but there is evidence to suggest some degrees of neural activity can be maintained up to 5 minutes after death. However, in any case, someone is dead once they cannot be revived, so anyone involved in a near-death experience never reached a point of true death, so to speak. Hence, using near-death experience to try to draw conclusions about actual death will be deeply flawed. It is also worth noting that whilst there are a number of things consistent in near-death experiences, such as seeing a white light or a feeling of euphoria, there is a high variation in a lot of other details that are used as evidence for religious claims, such as a specific deity scene or the appearance of an afterlife. What someone experiences during a near-death experience is impacted by the culture they live in and their personal beliefs, as well as the beliefs of those around them. Hence, when a person has a near-death experience, it is more likely to represent their current religious beliefs than an opposing one. If these experiences were providing a real glimpse into something supernatural, we would expect to see these reports being far more consistent and uninfluenced by factors such as culture. This isn't even mentioning the fact that a number of near-death experiences have been purposely fabricated for personal gain or to further specific ideologies, such as in the case of the book The Boy Who Came Back from Heaven, where the child who told the story, which the book was written about, later admitted to making the whole thing up for attention. This is just one more thing to consider when interpreting claims made regarding near-death experiences.
In conclusion, once we review all of this information, we can see a few things. Firstly, that there are well understood neurophysiological mechanisms to explain near-death and out-of-body experiences. Secondly, that there are serious limitations of using near-death experiences to make assertions about death. Thirdly, that there is a high degree of variability in the important details of these experiences. And finally, that these experiences can be fabricated both intentionally and unintentionally. When all of this is taken into account, it becomes clear that near-death and out-of-body experiences are not strong evidence for the existence of anything supernatural, including mind-body dualism. This isn't to say that these situations are perfectly understood, but we can say that our current understanding and all existing verifiable evidence strongly points to a naturalistic explanation as opposed to a supernatural one. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for regular videos. Also, share this video around to help us raise the bar of public discourse.